Welcome to Entertainment Unleashed. In this video, we will see the movie, Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, a 2010 action, adventure, fantasy, thriller movie. The movie starts with an introduction to Persia, a country that stretched from China to the Mediterranean Sea. Ruled by King Sharman. By his side was his brother Nizam. The king had two sons. One day the king was passing through the market and notices a boy who tried to save his friend from getting beaten by a soldier for stealing. King is impressed by him, and when he finds out that Dastan is an orphan, he adopts him to his family. A boy from the unlikeliest places became a prince of Persia, 15 years later. Prince Tush, the oldest son of King Sharman, is looking at the holy city of Alamet. He is fascinated by its beauty, but Nizam thinks otherwise. They got informed about Alamet's treachery by a spy. The king made it clear that Alamet is not to be touched, but in his absence, Tush is in charge. He decides to have one last council with his uncle Nizam, brother Garsiv and Dastan. We see Dastan, who is in a brawl. He is called by Tush. At the meeting, Nizam shows the swords and arrows they believe Alamet sold to their enemies. Garsiv is eager to attack Alamet. Dastan objects as Alamet is a sacred city and its defense are also tight. Nizam insists on attacking because of the weapons. Tush gives it a thought and decides to attack Alamet at dawn. Dastan respects the decision and asks for permission to go in the city first. Garsiv objects as he wants the honor of the first assault. Tush is fascinated by what people say about Alamet's princess's beauty. He tells Dastan that he is not ready for such a thing and gives the lead to Garsiv. We see Princess Tamina, who indeed is very beautiful. She is informed about the Persian army camping beyond their walls. She decides to go to the High Temple to pray. Alamet hasn't been breached in 1,000 years, but this time things can change. Dastan decides to disobey Tush because Garsiv only knows how to attack head-on. He decides to slip through the side of the eastern wall. He takes a jump start using a log, and then archers aim to shoot arrows to make a climbing path for Dastan. He and his team successfully climb the wall. Bis tells Dastan about the two gates they need to open to get the army inside. The outer gate is easy, but the inner gate is near to impossible to open. Dastan takes the inner gate. They are soon discovered and the bells alarm the guards. Bis and the others get to the outer gate. Dastan struggles a bit and shows his amazing ability to do parkour, reaching to the guard room in time to open the gate. The outer gate is also opened and Bis signals the army. Tush sees the signal and decides to redeploy the army to the eastern gates. Dastan sees the Alamet forces coming to the gate. Princess Tamina is informed about the breach. She commands to destroy the passage leading to the chamber. Both the armies are heading towards the eastern gate. Dastan drops and burns a ton of oil to block the Alamet's army. The Persian army enters the city. Princess hands a package to a soldier and tells him to keep it safe at all costs. Dastan, Tush, and the others are destroying Alamet's army. Dastan spots the soldier and stops him. In the midst of the fight, Dastan cuts loose the package. He knocks the soldier and finds a dagger in the package. It has ancient writings all over it and has a unique handle. Persia has conquered Alamet. Tush sees the princess and is amazed by her beauty. Nizam confronts her about Alamet supplying weapons to Persia's enemies. She denies all the charges and says that Alamet has no forges to forge weapons in the first place. Tush offers his hand as a political solution to her, but she firmly denies, saying she would die first. Dastan enters and she sees the dagger with him. As she was about to be executed, she accepts the offer. She can't keep her eyes off the dagger. Tush congratulates Dastan on first blood and demands a homage gift. He takes the dagger, but Nizam interferes, saying what more can Dastan offer from giving Tush Alamet. Dastan takes the dagger back. Nizam continues, saying that the king stopped his prayer to came to Alamet. Tush assume that the king is coming to congratulate them on the victory. We see the king approaching Alamet. To his surprise, King Sharman is furious at the assault on Alamet, as many believes it to be sacred. Tush takes full responsibility for the attack and decides to search for proof of Alamet's betrayal himself. He meets Dastan and hands him a gift to be given to the king to honor him in the evening. He also tells him to present the princess to the king for Tush. Dastan is not sure about this marriage, as Tush already has many wives. And if the king doesn't approve of her marriage to Tush, then Dastan should end her life with his own hands, as she is a liability. Dastan accompanies the princess. She blames him for destroying an innocent city. The king praises Dastan for his bravery and tells him to keep the bond between brothers strong, as it is the sword that defends the empire. The king calls him a brave man, but a great man would have stopped the attack entirely, no matter who ordered it. Dastan presents the robe of the high priest, and the princess Tamina to the king. Dastan also presents the wish of Tush to make a union with Alamut through marriage with Tamina. He asks the king for his approval. King Sharman instead gives Princess Tamina to Dastan as his first wife. Dastan is surprised. Suddenly the robe starts burning and kills King Sharman. Garsiv, on seeing the robe, blames Dastan for killing their father. Bis saves Dastan from getting captured but dies in the process. Tamina grabs Dastan and escapes from there by jumping in the water and then riding away on their horse. Tamina guides him as she knows the kingdom better. Tush expresses his grief and sadness about the murder of the king and writes to all the other kingdoms about it. Dastan and Princess Tamina escaped successfully. He tells her that the robe was given to him by Tush, and that he is innocent. Tamina surprisingly agrees with him and comes close to him. Dastan, on the other hand, hesitates and says that he is supposed to kill her if Tush could not have her. She again tries to kiss him and grabs the dagger. Dastan sees this and pushes her away. She tries to kill him with his sword. The horse, on Dastan's signal, pushes her. The dagger falls to the ground. Dastan unknowingly presses the jewel on it. The dagger lights up and he is engulfed in sand and sees the events of the past when Tamina tried to kill him. He releases the jewel and gets back in the body. He is confused and Tamina grabs the sword and cuts him. Dastan grabs and presses the jewel. Again he is in astral form and seeing the past. The cut on his chest vanishes. The sand in the dagger runs out. This time he stops Tamina from grabbing the sword. Tamina quickly understands and sees the dagger. All the sand is gone. Dastan understands that releasing the sand in the dagger turns back time. Only the holder of the dagger will know what has happened. The invasion of Alamut was not about weapon forges but this dagger. Tush is after this dagger. Tush continues by saying that Dastan must be brought to justice and that he has placed a huge bounty on Dastan. Garsiv with his men leaves for Dastan. Princess Tamina is surprised to know that Dastan is going to Avrat where King Sharman will be buried. He trusts Nizam will understand him and help him to prove that Tush was behind the killing. To avoid detection, Dastan decides to take the route of the Valley of the Slaves, known for murdering cutthroats thugs. She decides to join him on this adventure. Garsiv is still behind them. Dastan tries to put sand in the dagger but the princess tells that no ordinary sand can work. Dastan wants to know where he can get that special sand. She says there is not any more of that special sand. Dastan sees something and the princess catches him looking. She mocks him of his status as a prince and he tells her his story, how he was just an ordinary boy and how he became a prince. She is touched. As they were passing through the valley, princess fell to the ground. Dastan goes to inspect. She hits him with a big bone. He is unconscious. She takes the dagger and leaves. When he wakes up he is surrounded by Sheikh Amar and his men. He tells Dastan about a tribe known as Nimbaka and how they are masters at throwing knives. Their aim is murderously accurate. He points to Sesso and Nimbaka. Sheikh Amar saved Sesso's life and now Sesso is enduringly indebted to him. The princess tries to put some magical sand in the dagger but sees some thugs. She decides to run but gets surrounded. She tries to take a stand but after seeing Dastan she gives up and gives him the dagger. Sheikh comes and thanks Dastan for the deal. She is tied. Dastan is curious about what will happen to the princess and takes the sand from her and puts it in the dagger. She is worried that the dagger might get in the wrong hands. Dastan assures her that he will take care of it. She warns him as this is a matter of gods. He neglects this warning. Sheikh operates ostrich racing and avoids paying taxes by spreading false info about the Valley of the Slaves. Tamina and the other girls enter to serve drinks to the crowd. Dastan tries to collect the supplies that Sheikh promised but Sheikh Amar identifies him as the disgraced prince who murdered the king. Dastan runs but Sesso again shows his skills. The Sheikh wants the bounty which is on him. Sesso takes the dagger. Tamina sees this. Sheikh gives it to a man who would melt it for him. Tamina releases the ostriches to create chaos. Dastan also escapes in this chaos. Dastan finds the man with the dagger and takes it from him. Tamina joins him. They barely escape from there. At Avrat many rulers have come to pay respect to King Sharman. They disguise themselves as servants. Nizam and Garsiv arrive with the king's body. Dastan confirms his suspicion as Tush remained in Alamet to find the magical sand. Dastan slips on the casket and slips a letter into Nizam's clothes. At the market, Tamina puts a jacket on Dastan. The dagger is also visible. Dastan meets Nizam and hugs him. He tells Nizam that the cloak was given to him by Tush and that the invasion of Alamet was on a lie. There are no forges. Tush is after the sand that fuels a mystical dagger. Nizam asks for the dagger. Dastan hands him the package, but it isn't the dagger. Tamina took it. Dastan notices that Nizam's hands are burnt. Nizam replies that they got burnt when he tried to pull the poisoned cloak off King Sharman. Nizam makes Dastan sure that he can trust him. Dastan is attacked by archers. He somehow escapes from there. Garsiv holds him down, but he kicks him away and runs from there. He jumps from rooftop to rooftop, dodging arrows. He again faces Garsiv. After some sword fight, he pushes him off the stairs and leaves. Tush investigates about Dastan. Nizam tells him that Dastan tried to kill him, but he somehow got away. He further tries to turn Tush against Dastan. He suggests avoiding a trial and just killing Dastan at first sight. Tush disagrees and states that there will be a public trial. Nizam hires the Hassansins. They are a covert killing force. They have unique and dark killing abilities. They were disbanded by King Sharman. Dastan tracks Tamina. He questions her about the dagger and what she is hiding from him. He tells her that Nizam is the one who killed his father, as he never tried to take the poisoned cloak off the king. The Hassansins create huge sandstorms. They take shelter from the storms. She tells him how long ago the gods sent a sandstorm to wipe out all mankind. But a young girl begged the gods to give another chance to mankind, offering her life in exchange. Seeing the purity and bravery, the gods swept the sandstorm in a huge sand glass that rests under Alamet. The dagger was given to the girl, who saved mankind. She was the first guardian. The dagger's blade is the only thing that can pierce the sand glass and removes the sands of time. If the dagger is to be placed in the sand glass and the jewel is pressed, the sand would flow endlessly, thus reversing time as back as one like. Nizam once saved King Sharman's life from a lion when they were young. Nizam wants to undo his action of saving King Sharman so that he can become the king. Tamina tells if one does press the jewel while the dagger is in the sand glass, then the sands of time will destroy everything. They decide to take the dagger to a sanctuary where the stone by which the dagger was found remains. They will place the dagger back in it. It will take the dagger back in the mountain, never to be found again. They stop for water and rest but get captured by Sheikh Amar. He is very angry as the riot they started destroyed his racing empire. Only Anita remains. He plans to cover the loss by getting the bounty on Dastan. Very weird sand dervishes are coming towards them. Sheikh doesn't think much of it. They silence Dastan and take the dagger. At night, vipers controlled by Hassansins attack them. Sesso's life is saved by Dastan. Seeing the situation, he releases Dastan and give him the dagger. Dastan reverse time and kills all the viper as he already knew from where the vipers are going to attack. Sheikh is very surprised. Tamina is also very impressed by this act. They head to the sanctuary. Dastan explains about the Hassansins and how much dangerous they are. Sheikh tries to leave, but Tamina offers him gold, which is at the sanctuary. Garsiv comes across the dead bodies. They reach the sanctuary. Dastan gives her the dagger. Sesso discovers dead bodies all over the place. The Hassansins killed everyone. Tamina is devastated by this. Garsiv also arrives there. Dastan tells him that all the people have been killed by Hassansins. Garsiv doesn't believe. Dastan continues about Nizam planning the invasion, and how Nizam wants Dastan dead. Hearing this, Garsiv tells him how Nizam recommended that there be no trial in Dastan's case. As Dastan was about to tell him the truth about the dagger and the sand glass, Garsiv is shot with spikes by Hassansins. They start killing everyone who stood on the ground. The Hassansins are here for the dagger. Dastan fights them while Tamina runs for the sacred stone. Dastan follows her. Dastan is determined to put the dagger back, as whoever puts the dagger in the stone will die. She tries to put the dagger in the stone, but an Hassansin stops her. She falls and is unconscious. Dastan goes to fight the Hassansins. A viper crawls over Tamina and sees the dagger. Dastan is still fighting. The viper is picked up by an Hassansins. Tamina wakes up. As the Hassansins was about to kill Dastan, Garsiv save him. With his dying breath, he tells Dastan to save the empire from Nizam. Tamina is devastated as the dagger is lost. Dastan promises that they will get it back. The Hassansins cuts open the viper to take the dagger and gives it to Nizam. Dastan buries Garsiv and Sheik is happy about the gold he received. Dastan wants to go to Alamet to stop Nizam and Sesso follows him. Seeing this, Sheik also follows him. They all arrive at Alamet. Nizam is digging a path to the sand glass. Tamina through some maids gets to know that Nizam will reach the sand glass within hours and that the dagger is kept in the high temple guarded by the Hassansin who throws spikes. Dastan recognizes him as he killed Garsiv. Sesso decides to go to the temple to get the dagger. He goes to the temple and gets attacked with spikes. He struggles for a bit but in the end, throws a knife straight to the Hassansin's chest. He also gets stabbed in the chest. In his last breath, he throws the dagger out of the window to the Sheik and the others. Once again showing the incredible ability of the Nimbaka. Nizam finds the dagger missing and seals all the gates to stop Dastan from leaving. He is also informed that the sandglass has been found. Dastan takes Tush hostage and wants to talk in private. He tells Tush that Nizam poisoned the robe as Nizam gave the robe to Tush in the first place and tells the whole truth about Nizam lying about Alamet's betrayal. Tush is still not convinced. Dastan tells him about the dagger and its power. He tells him to press the jewel to see for himself what the dagger can do. Dastan stabs himself and hands the dagger to Tush. Nizam also enters but Tush orders him to stay put. Tush presses the jewel and experiences the astral form, seeing the reversal of the past events. Dastan is stabbing himself. He is confused about what he is seeing. He goes back to the point when Dastan was about to stab himself. He stops him and tells him that he believes him. This time Nizam enters and cuts Tush's throat. He dies on the spot. The Hassansins hits Dastan and Nizam take the dagger and leave. Tamina distracts the Hassansins and Dastan kills him from behind. Dastan closes Tush's eyes. Nizam is heading towards the sandglass. Tamina guides Dastan through a secret passage. The sand starts falling and Dastan falls with it. He flows with the sand and jumps into a small gate. He finds himself looking at the sandglass. He is attacked by the Hassansin. He hold him down. Nizam reaches to the sandglass as well. The viper was about to bite Dastan, but Tamina grabs it and puts it on the Hassansin's face. Dastan kills the Hassansin. They both share an romantic moment then head to the sandglass. Dastan puts a sword to Nizam's throat but Nizam stabs him with a knife. He throws Tamina off but Dastan catches her. She tells him to let her go and stop Nizam. Dastan loses grip and she falls. Nizam stabs the sandglass with the dagger. Dastan also grabs the dagger but Nizam opens the jewel. Huge sandstorms start to destroy the surrounding. The sandglass starts cracking and showing the events of the past, huge sandstorms engulfing cities. Dastan closes the jewel. Surprisingly, the cracking reverses with the sandstorms. The dagger is pulled out and both of them are pushed away from the sandglass. It transforms into the dagger. And Dastan is holding it. It is the time of the invasion. Dastan is surprised to see Bis alive. He rushes to the palace and tells everyone about the lie that caused the invasion. He confronts Nizam about it but Nizam denies it and calls Dastan delusional. Tush is confused and after hearing both of them decides to interrogate the spy who told them about Alamet's betrayal. Nizam attacks Dastan from behind but Dastan dodges and fights him. He disarms Nizam. Nizam tries to stab Dastan but Tush saves him by killing Nizam. Tush goes to the princess and offers her a marriage to Dastan. She is surprised and Dastan gifts her the dagger. She walks with him and tries to understand how Dastan changed all of a sudden. She is impressed by Dastan and accepts the marriage offer. The dagger is returned to the High Temple. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you liked the video. It helps.